frozen winds of Cather 9 howled through the canyon like the screams of dying stars. Sergeant Alina Cross pressed her back against the ice wall, her breath forming crystalline clouds in the sub-zero air. Blood seeped through the makeshift bandage on her leg, staining the white snow beneath her boots crimson. The Vraxian hunters were closing in. She could hear their chittering calls echoing off the canyon walls, growing louder with each passing moment. She had bought the Licoros pack time. That was all that mattered. The Licoros were a young species, barely 30 years into the Galactic Council, wolf-like beings with silver fur and golden eyes. Strength, loyalty, pack mentality. They were formidable warriors. But their cubs, their precious young, were their greatest weakness and their greatest treasure. When the Vraxians attacked the settlement, targeting the nursery, Alina hadn't hesitated. She had led 15 Licoros cubs through the underground tunnels, away from the slaughter above. 15 pairs of terrified golden eyes had looked to her, the strange, furless human who spoke their language with a thick accent, who smelled of metal and determination. She had gotten them to safety, to the deep caves where the pack elders waited. But the Vraxians had followed, and Alina had stayed behind to collapse the tunnel. The explosion had done its job, but it had shattered her left leg and buried her under 3 feet of ice and rock. By the time she clawed her way out, the Vraxians had found another route. Now she was trapped, wounded, and out of ammunition. A fitting end for a human, she thought grimly. Going down fighting was practically a species requirement. Sergeant Cross. The voice was high-pitched, young, breaking with fear, and something else. Determination. Alina's head snapped up. No, it couldn't be. Through the swirling snow, she saw him. Thane, the lead cub, the one who had translated her words to the others, who had kept them calm in the darkness, whose golden eyes burned with intelligence far beyond his 6 solar years. Behind him, 14 others emerged from the ice formations. All 15 cubs had come back. What are you doing here? Alina's voice cracked, part anger, part terror. I got you to safety. You're supposed to be with the elders. Thane approached, small body trembling. Not from fear, Alina realized, but from cold and exhaustion. The elders say humans are pack. The humans saved cubs. Cubs save human. It is pack way. This isn't your fight. She tried to stand, gasping as her shattered leg refused to cooperate. You need to run now. The Vraxians are behind us. Yes, he said simply, voice eerily calm. We lead them away from Elder Cave. We lead them here to you. Understanding crashed over Alina like a tidal wave. These cubs, these children, had deliberately drawn the hunters back to her position. They had used themselves as bait. You foolish, brave little idiots, she whispered. The Vraxians burst into the canyon like a swarm of nightmares. 8-foot-tall insectoid predators with blade arms and mandibles that could tear through steel. Their compound eyes fixed on the cubs as they advanced. Thane stepped in front of Alina, small body barely reaching her shoulder. The other cubs formed a semicircle, hackles raised, tiny growls rumbling from their throats. Against the Vraxians, they were nothing, but they didn't run. Listen to me, Alina said urgently, gripping Thane's shoulder. I need you to trust me. Can you do that? 14 pairs of golden eyes turned to her. Thane nodded once. Good. When I say run, you run straight at them. Don't stop. Don't look back. Run between their legs and keep going. Get to the far canyon wall. As for me, we'll give you the opening you need. Trust me, cub. Humans are very, very good at breaking things. The Vraxians charged. Alina grabbed the thermal charges from her vest, the ones she'd been saving for a last stand. Hands steadier than they had any right to be, she armed them and hurled them, not at the Vraxians, but at the canyon walls on either side. Run! She screamed. The cubs bolted. For creatures so young, they moved like silver lightning, low to the ground and impossibly fast. The Vraxians lunged, but the cubs were already past them, slipping between chitinous legs with youthful agility. The charges detonated. Thunder shook the canyon. Ice and rock, millions of tons, came crashing down. Alina threw herself backward into the alcove, curling into a ball as the world became white noise and crushing weight. When the rumbling stopped, silence fell like a blanket. Alina coughed, spat ice and blood. Her legs screamed. 3 ribs were probably cracked. But she was alive. And the Vraxians? Parts of their carapaces jutted from the massive pile of debris, but none would rise again. Sergeant Cross is alive. Thank the stars. The cubs dug through the snow with frantic paws, reaching her within minutes. 14 small faces, fur coated with ice, stared down at her with concern. Human is hurt. One of the smaller cubs whimpered. Then we carry her, Thane said firmly. Like she carried us. And they did. 15 cubs, none larger than a human child, worked together with perfect pack efficiency. They fashioned a sled from broken branches and their own shed winter fur. They took turns pulling, pushing, supporting. When one tired, another took their place. They shared warmth as Alina shivered. They shared water when her lips cracked and bled. 6 hours later, they reached the Elder Cave. Exhausted cubs, pulling a wounded human, emerged from the snow. Silence fell. The pack leader, a massive silver male with a scarred muzzle, approached slowly. He looked at his cubs, then at Alina, then back at them. Tell them, he said softly to Thane. Thane stood as tall as his small frame allowed. His voice carried through the cavern. We learned courage is not the absence of fear. We learned courage is moving forward when fear would freeze us. We learned this from the human who had every reason to abandon us but stayed, who could have saved herself but chose us. We learned courage is spelled Human. The pack leader placed his massive paw on Alina's shoulder, gentle despite its size. You have given us something more valuable than your aid in battle, human. You have given us a story our cubs will tell their cubs. You have shown us what it means to be truly fearless. Alina smiled weakly. I was terrified the entire time. Exactly, the pack leader rumbled. That is the point. Later, when the medics treated her wounds and the cubs finally slept, Thane curled up beside Alina. When I grow up, he mumbled, I want to be brave like human. You already are, little one, she whispered, running her fingers through his soft fur. You already are. Outside, the winds of Cather 9 continued to howl. But inside the cave, surrounded by a pack that had adopted her as one of their own, Sergeant Alina Cross, humanity's unexpected ambassador to the Licoros, finally allowed herself to rest. The cubs had learned what courage truly was, and the human had learned she was never truly alone. Please follow my channel for more videos. One click from you can change my life.